Welcome back to the Kerrie Show, and with me I have special guest Stuart Wilde, and we're discussing everything from the mundane to the divine, Stuart. And we spoke of the return Jesus, and do you want to, with some people that might not be familiar with that whole term, do you want to just explain a little bit more of the return Jesus?
Okay, yes, I can. You know, inside this solar logos, the visions of which we saw, like for months and years coming, like it was like the divine light returning.
Yep.
A part of that light is the return of Jesus. But I don't believe Jesus is any one particular person, you know, like, I don't know, a shaman in South America or a clerk in a 7-Eleven in Atlanta, you know? I don't believe that Jesus is one person, because that one person will get themselves seriously killed seriously quickly, you know?
Right.
It's more like the Christ light in humanity. So the return of Jesus is the awakening of the Christ light in every single person. And every single person that's listening to your show right now has that light in them, whether they call it Muhammad or Buddha or they call it whatever, New Age crystals. I don't care what they call it. It's still the same light, you know? And so we saw the return Jesus inside this light. And it was actually like the regular Jesus as you'd imagine, you know, like from Italian paintings. Of course, he didn't look like that, but it's what we think he looked like. And it's a way of saying that the Christ light is here. It's arrived. It's landed. And I saw the solar logos landing in visions in the summer of 2011. And to me, it looked like a massive electrical transformer the size of a couple of small houses, you know?
Wow.
But the Jesus light was inside that transformer. And now the power of Jesus, which has been sort of like dim and distant for many Christians, is suddenly going to come into their hearts big time, you know? But they have to have contrition, and they have to have the three graces, tenderness, generosity, and respect, because that's what Jesus is all about. Jesus is about love and respecting each other and processing your own anger and your own BS and coming to him through goodness, you know, because he was eternally good, that man. He was a very, very good person.
Absolutely. And so he was part of the whole solar logos. And you know what, Stuart, that reminds me, it goes back to the rainbow bridges. You could say that part of the rainbow is one strand of the rainbow would be the return of the Jesus light, and the other strand would be the return of the divine feminine energy. And do you want to speak of the divine feminine energy? Because I know you spoke of the...
it's very, very intimately connected to Jesus, very intimately. The divine feminine. It's not necessarily Mary or Mary Magdalene or what other women were next to him. It's a light. I mean, I see her as like this goddess, 60 foot high. She has horns like a stag. Yeah. And she has this bowl, and she has this energy leaving this bowl, going out towards the children of humanity. But it's the Tao. It's the eternal Tao. It's the feminine spirit. And essentially, it's qualities of femininity. And again, what is femininity? At its highest, it's tenderness, generosity, respect, you know, care, nurturing, all of those things, you know. So that's what I ask of people. I say, listen, turn away from the old ways and come to the brave new world. And come with me, you know, come with me. And I'm with 10,000 other people. Come. You'll meet people that you've never met before that are intensely interesting and fun-loving and different. You know, they're not programmed inside the fear of the political system or the matrix or money or whatever, you know. And so the feminine spirit carries us towards the forest because she is like the Bodhisattva Kuan Yin in Taoism, or she's Gaia. You know, Gaia is Lovelock's word for the spirit of nature. And so she is nature, she is beauty, she's the lake, she's liberation from this torment that you incarnated into, that you're trying to incarnate out of before you die.
That makes sense. And when I always saw the triangle of what I call the divine feminine and then the divine male, and it gives birth to the divine child's part. And that's where, to me, that's what we're going through, this rebirthing process to get connected to the divine.
Are where the feminine, the divine feminine and the divine masculine meet.
Right.
And they're with the they're with the divine child.
Right.
Which is like essentially the Son of God, but it's not the Son of God in Christian terms. It's more like the Son of the celestial power, you know?
Right.
And she's beautiful. I mean, she is driving the bus, and she has a consort. You know, I've written on my site about Om and Ka. Om is the universal male principle, and Ka is the universal... Om is the universal human feminine principle, and Ka is the masculine light, and the two have to join together, you know?
Om Ka, I love that story.
In the early days, Om, she's the feminine. She's like in the universe. She was cold because there wasn't any warmth, and she said to Ka, come, fly through through me and fly through this universe and bring your light and heat us up. And he was boiling hot, and he was dying because he was too hot in the legend. And so when she said, come and disperse your light through the universe and the stars and the galaxies and the humans and the animals, he dispersed his light and he got cooler and he survived. And so they linked together to make the universe of stars and the galaxies that we see in the radiant heavens above us on clear nights.
That's a beautiful story, and it helps people get back to their divine self, their divine nature.
Their divine self. So you allow the male to express his light, and he gets cooler and softer and more sensitive. And the woman is empowered by the light as he gets stronger and less fearful and more protected. And it all works beautifully between the two of them, you know? Absolutely.
And I'm watching the energies now of, again, it looks like a diamond turning into this, a triangle turning into a diamond, which really just shows me this energy is entering into the earth now. And then it goes back to, again, when I see the purple hands as part of that, the energy that's bringing people back to the heart, or what I call the sacred heart. And the sacred heart leads us back to feeling that divine aspect. And can you describe the sacred heart, Stuart, what that means to you?
Well, I see it as the tenderness of Jesus, you know.
Yeah.
So it's sacred because it's so different and unusual, you know. And so I see it as that. But then each one person, every single person, has the sacred heart inside of them, you know.
Right.
So that's the important thing to understand, is we all have it, you know. And we have the sacred heart is when a mother gets up at 3 o'clock in the morning to tend to a crying child, you know.
Right.
That's the sacred heart. The sacred heart is a man at the office that stops to say hello to somebody he wouldn't normally talk to, and tenderly approach them and ask them how they are and ask them about their family and that sort of stuff, you know? And so that's what the sacred heart is. It's essentially compassion. It's compassion.
Right.
And the more compassion we can... It's very hard compassion because so many people have hurt us and so many people scare us.
Right.
But if you can have a compassion for the villains, and you can have a compassion for Jack the Ripper, and you can have compassion for every single last person, it makes you more and more godlike, and it develops that sacred heart inside you, and that's really what we're trying to do in the end, you know?
Right. And that I'm watching literally in people's heart's energy. To me, it looks like a gold disc or a torus with this purple energy and purple and pink energy, and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's what I also witnessed during your healings, that it got right into the sacred heart. It broke away any of their defense mechanisms that they had around the heart, where sometimes I'll see these shields or these spikes around people's heart, but when you put the hands on the people, it melted away that their defense mechanisms, and then it looked like
they're... Well, that's it. If people go on my site, stuartwilde.com, they'll see an image. If they click healings, they'll see an image of these purple hands, and I wait for those purple hands to come up 9 times for each person when I'm healing them. So it's essentially the feminine spirit is coming in and rearranging the person's energy and allowing them to perceive outside the torment of the matrix, and the torment and the smallness and the difficulties of the matrix, you know?
Right.
I mean, you have to have processed the ego a bit, and you have to go beyond self-importance and that sort of stuff. But the power's there for everybody, you know?
Right. Yeah. And that's what I think, that you help people, remind people of that I love the name, The Second Chance, and that's reminding people that everyone has the divine light within their self. I say that to a lot of people when they feel just so down or just feel hopeless, or they're just ready to literally commit suicide, that they still have that spark of divinity within them. And
anybody who feels like that, if they can afford to come to Las Vegas,
right. Perfect.
It's a couple of $100 now. It used to be cheaper because the early bird tickets were $150, but now it's getting close to the event. It's $200. And if they come, they can have their second chance, and they can have their healing. And I mean, I met that guy with leukemia at a cricket match. Can you imagine it? Like cricket match. England were playing, I don't know, West Indies or something. I can't remember who. And I met him by chance in a stadium at a sports game. And he said, I have leukemia. I said, okay, please come to my hotel and I'll do you tomorrow morning. And so it's like, how does it work mathematically for him to meet a healer at a cricket match? I mean, I've only been to one cricket match in 35, 40 years, and that was the other day, when I met him. And then last time was 40 years ago. So to meet this guy at a cricket match at a stadium, he comes to my hotel room, and he doesn't have leukemia anymore. There's his second chance.
Wow, he got a second chance.
Okay,
Absolutely.
maybe he's got to process his soul, or maybe he's got to become a better person. Maybe he's got to lose weight and stop drinking and do things that he's got to do. But hey, he's been given his second chance. You know, and what is the mathematics of the universe that brings this guy with leukemia to a table where I'm having a drink between the events, you know, during the cricket lunch hour, and I'm having a bite to eat, and I meet him in a bar, in a cricket match, and he now doesn't have leukemia. That's the mystery of God.
That's a beautiful way to end the story, Stuart, end of the show. We're at our end. I want to thank you so much, and I want to remind everybody, StuartWilde.com. Go onto the site, and you could get to Las Vegas, again, August 31st through September 1st, September 2nd through September 3rd, in the States, Las Vegas, and it's well worth the trip. First trip time in 3 years, and thank you, Stuart, so much for coming on the show.
Kerrie, God bless you. It's been a really lovely show, and I've very much enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
I look forward to seeing you in Las Vegas.
Yes,
Bye-bye.
ma'am. Please come.
Yeah, I will. Bye-bye. Thank you.